Listen to radio Biafra. We must share as a true it's okay
Depending on wherever your domicile, welcome to another live broadcast from New York City under the auspices of our mother station, Radio Biafra London. Our broadcast this morning will come all the way from Australia, so stay put and let us pray before we proceed.
Without whom we cannot function, and unto him we give every honor and every adoration wherever you are. I will ask you, if you are in the spirit, to remain so. If you are outside the spirit, we ask you to come into it. Because what we are preaching from here is a gospel of redemption, as directed by Chukwukika Abiyama himself in heaven. And this very gospel, we must preach it. Therefore, we must pray. We give thanks unto thee, O Elohim, for there is none like thee. There can never be any like thee. You are the beginning and the end. You are the Alpha and the Omega. Our lives are in the palm of your hands. We commit all that we are unto thee. We have come as the ancients did before us, as our ancestors did before we came, to offer praise and adoration unto your holy name and no other. For we do not worship any idol. We do not worship anything born of a human being. We do not worship anything carved out of a tree. We do not bow down before anything molded with the hands of men. It's only thee that we worship. That is why we have come this very evening on this hallowed platform that you yourself created, to offer you unadulterated praise and to hand over to thee all that we can ever become, because Biafra is yours. This very family of IPOB, you molded yourself, you decreed that IPOB must come, and now that we have come, that we may worship thee, O Elohim, please accept our offering of praise and sacrifice unto your holy name, because there is no other like thee. We will continue to adore thee, we will continue to worship thee, and as I said before, and I will reiterate as we pray unto thee, that Biafra is your possession. We will sacrifice Biafra unto thee, that you may guide us in all that we do. It's only you that sees the hearts of men. If there is anything that we are hiding, if there is anything that we have concealed from our people, oh Elohim, you will judge us very harshly. But if our hands are clean, our hearts very pure, you will bless IPOB, and you will bless me, and you will bless my family, because it's a promise from you. All our hope and our trust is upon thee. May your name be glorified. May you be exalted. May you, O Elohim, be praised. Now and forevermore we pray. He said
To that, we now go back to Australia to join the IPOB in Australia for today's broadcast. Stay tuned. Let's see if they are ready, and continue. All right. Are you ready, guys? Are you there?
Yes, Mazi, we are ready.
All right. The line is yours. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Biafrans, friends of Biafrans, and Radio Biafra fans and listeners. Say good evening to all of you. I will join you tonight, and we welcome all of you as you tune into this wonderful program. Again, we've come, IPOB representatives from Australia. We're here to reflect on the struggle and on the events, and share ideas and thoughts on the struggle Before we start, as we always do, we hand over our deliberations tonight in the hands of God, Chukwukikabiyama, and call upon our ancestors to be with us in that communion between those, our heroes who have gone before us, those who are and those who are still fighting for Biafra to come. We call and invoke their spirit, come together, support what we're doing, so that this will be a wonderful conversation, and that ideas we share and reflect upon in this gathering will be one that is mutually benefiting, mutually enriching, so that this time we share together will help each one of us gain new knowledge and new insight about what we're doing, about the restoration of Biafra, and about the sacrifices of all of us towards obviously achieving our freedom. So I welcome all of you, and thank you for hanging around. So dear friends, you can see what is happening in Africa. Africa is finally waking up. When Radio Biafra started preaching about the need for Africa to wake up, when Radio Biafra started preaching about true self-determination, true freedom, people thought it was just about Nigeria and Biafra. No. The ideology of IPOB, right from beginning, has been very Afrocentric, and it's been very, very Pan-African. And our leader Mazi has been very intentional about fighting for the freedom of all Africa. Events of recent days is a lesson to each one of us that Africa is not free, and that the freedom the Biafrans are fighting for is worth fighting for all African people. That Biafra indeed liberated will bring light to Africa, but also it helps us to even gain more perspective on the reason why what we call them, the colonists, those that colonize different countries, those that colonized Africa, these countries that are colonial creators of Africa and African nations. This tells us, reminds us about why they are not eager to support the freedom of Biafra. Because the freedom of Biafra will be the first instance where a federation, well, with the exception of South Sudan, that this would be a true indigenous self-determination, or true self-determination for indigenous people, would be one of the first contexts in which part of confederating units of a previously colonized nation would drive their own freedom, their own self-determination, and their own development. And when they have that development, that freedom, they will drive their own development. People will start to see what is different, the difference between flag independence and the independence that are true and genuine independence that is driven by the people. What we have in different countries in Africa is not independence. The fact that these countries were colonized, Africa was colonized, and like a piece, like a whole cake, we are cut into pieces. And each one is not talking about I'm Ugandan, I'm Nigerian, I'm Niger, I'm Togolese, I'm Greece, and that is not freedom. The true freedom that Africa needs is that these people start to say, hang on, are we what we truly want to be? This system created by those that have no genuine interest in empowering us and seeing us as equals and the co-partners in global development. This system that were put in place to improve the ratios, to enable external exploitation of Africa. Is this system where we want to be, or can we do better than this? Since after the days of independence, Biafrans, the case of Biafra has been one of those rare cases where people have come to consciousness and to the critical thinking and consciousness and determination to change the course of things, the status quo. And as we know, it's always very challenging to change the status quo, to say we have to do it, think differently and do things differently. What is happening in Niger? What is happening in Ivory Coast? What is happening in other part of Africa, especially the Francophone areas of Africa, is a lesson. It is also a warning. It is also a reminder that those that colonized us do not want to let go. It's a reminder that we are not free, that Africa is not free. And it's a call to support revolution. Every revolution to change the course of reality in Africa must be supported, provided it's a people-led revolution engineered and led by the people for their own interest and in defense of their own development, their own freedom. As Biafrans, we must support this, because that's Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is not to maintain, you've been named Nigerian, therefore I have to, as a Nigerian, I have to see how I get along with Kenyan. How can you get along with Kenyan if you're Nigerian when you are trying to maintain two different systems built by their colonial masters, to keep you in perpetual poverty and enslavement? You have the so-called criminal president Bola Tinubu, Ahmed Tinubu, what you call him, judicial president, the court president, or what? I don't know what you call him. But whatever the case, he's a criminal, he's on record. But you've got this man trying to bring Africa to ruins. He is the one bidding or driving home the bidding of the slave masters. And you understand why he's doing it? Because he has international criminal case hanging on his neck. In the US, in other places, he's been indicted in drug trafficking and all other grievous offenses, international criminal offenses. And so this man has sat down and think that maybe if I could do the bidding of the West, the French, and all the colonizers, the British, and the rest of them, if I could become a tool in the hand of the Western colonizers, maybe my sins can be forgiven. So Tinubu is essentially paying for the sins he committed, for his offenses, trying to change the narrative by putting Africa up for sale and bringing Africa to ruins, by making sure that Africa goes into war against itself. It's very sad that Africa has been in this situation that since inception, the colonial masters handed Africa back to those who really rule it, never those who have genuine interest of Africa. It was as if the characteristics, the qualities they looked for, was those that would maintain the colonial legacies. That means being the biddings of the colonial masters, even though they are now having a hegemonic economic control of that area remotely. So they're in Britain, they're in France, but still Francophone is still using franc or whatever the currency of France is. And you are over there in Nigeria, you have an ancestor as your president, and the Britain doesn't say much. The US doesn't talk about it. They know there was the democratic integrity was violated in order to bring Tinubu to power. They know there was a violation of the rights of people which follow any democracy that people decide. That decision of the king has the absolute power in the context. That decision was overturned. That decision of the people, the right of the people, to decide and choose who to lead them in a democratic setting such as Nigeria. That right was violated. And you know what? The US, who have for a few years now seen themselves and carried themselves as disciples of democracy, as a democratic evangelists. They go about evangelizing, trying to lobby people, trying to convert people to accepting democratic values. But do you know they are silent? You know they are saying nothing. Why is that the case? Because what is important to colonial masters is that their interests are maintained. Is that somebody who is there to maintain their bidding, somebody who is there to secure their interests, economic and political interests, geopolitical interests in this case. Is in power. It does not matter the process that brings them to power. It does not matter whether they steal it at gunpoint. It does not matter whether they kill everybody to get to power. What matters is that their own interests. So it's about French interest, or the France's interest, the British interest, is the American interest. As long as their interests are not threatened, they do not care about democracy. That's what our people do not understand. It's a shame that people still hope that salvation will come from the same people who had vowed to kill you and take all what belongs to you. So it's very important that we look at what's happening in Africa and get involved and rally behind the people of Niger. The rest of African countries where France dominance is about to crush, because that's what we are fighting. It's about crushing the dominance, the hegemony of colonial masters. It's about liberating Africa. That's what Biafra is all about. It's the light that Africa needs. That's why we are the land of rising sun. And this could be, no doubt, a way for Biafra to emerge, because in the process of Africa gaining true freedom, we must ask the question of self-determination for the indigenous people of Biafra. So Tinubu wants to go to war in order to save his image, to reconstruct his internationally damaged image. That's what he's trying to say. That's what this is all about. It's about fighting to protect the interest of the slave masters so that his international image is protected. That's number one. But this, most importantly, perhaps, so that he retains his position as the president of the zoo, even though it has come to that, he's been declared the president through a corrupt way, through violation of mandates, of collective mandates of the people, through violation of the democratic principles and integrity. What is important for him is to do whatever the slave masters want him to do. The colonial West, imperialists, in this case, the French government, whatever is going to please French government, the UK government, the US government. That's what he wants to do, so that he will retain his power. And because he's afraid that if we don't stop this wave of impeaching, of military coup, it might get to Nigeria. These people one day I might be impeached. And so I have to do something. I have to invest everything this country has saved for, or whatever we gathered for, and make sure we fight Niger. A fight against the people of Niger is a fight against the people of Africa. And therefore we must stand. And it's a fight against Biafra. And therefore we must stand united with these people who have long been imprisoned. Revolution is the way for Africa to come out of this mess. Otherwise, we will continue like this. How long is Africa going to remain under economic hegemony and political hegemony control of the people, of the British government, of the United States of America's government, and the France government? How long? The new generation must rise up. It's the same generation we have in Biafra that has now risen after we've all heard the voice, the prophetic voice of our leader Mazi has called us to action. The truth has been spoken. The injustice needs to be challenged. Actions must be taken. Injustices are not uprooted by passive observation. Injustices are uprooted by active engagement, by actions. Only collective actions can change the course of injustice and bring about justice and fairness. Only collective actions that are being championed by indigenous people of Biafra can potentially change the reality of our own people, make Biafra a reality. The same way Nigeria is fighting to come off, to break the chain of French control. The same way Anglophone West Africa is fighting to come out of the bondage of colonial France. It's the same way Biafrans are fighting to come off the bondage of Britain. And do you think Britain is happy to say, oh, okay, you don't want us to control you no more, okay, there you go. Okay, take your freedom and go. No, they don't do that. Do you see what France is saying? They are saying, we will fight where our interest is under threat, under attack. We will fight. What is the interest? To keep these people in poverty and they reach France. That is the interest. And that's for that reason they are happy to fight. And you know who is a willing tool? Yeah, zoo government is a willing tool to collaborate in launching, in starting up genocide of Africa. But I'm glad that other countries, other governments in Africa, around Africa, other countries in Africa are teaming up against Nigeria on this one. Because this must not be allowed to continue. This man wants to keep the rest of Africa under perpetual slavery, perpetual bondage, economically and geopolitically. But I'm glad the young generation of Africa are waking up there is a wave of new consciousness in Africa. This wave started with IPOB. This last wave started with IPOB. It is the movement of IPOB that ushered in this new awareness, this critical consciousness, this new way of thinking about who we are in relation to others. That is credit to IPOB and our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The rest of Africa is waking up, and we must fight united in Africa to clear the colonial mess. Because they say colonialism had ended in the 60s, but that's not true. Because neo-colonialism is way alive in Africa. They come in different forms. And as in this clear case, is imperialism. Imperialism is a situation where former colonizers continue to meddle in the politics and in the economic development of a country they once colonized. And this is against international law. But the same people that regulate international operations are the same people violating the same principle. The same people that preach and sell to you democracy and democratic values and international relations are the same people actively engaging in actions that violates this and objectifies the people living there and leads to dehumanization and poverty of the entire continent of Africa. And enough is enough. And so if you're Biafran, you must logically, I think this is a position our leader would assume that we Biafrans also stand in solidarity with the rest of Africa, because we brought this new consciousness. We helped to create the awareness that this generation is no longer that what the colonizers have been doing for centuries and getting away with are no longer acceptable and no longer something this generation is able and prepared to tolerate. It started with IPOB. They resolved to reject continued subjugation. Started with IPOB. And therefore we must continue. We must continue. And I'm coming home to what we are doing. I would like to encourage each one of you listening to us tonight to say that I would like you to realize that the power to change who you are lies in you. The collective power to change the course of a nation lies on the people, not the colonizers. The final say as to whether we should have Biafra self-determination or whether we will remain in bondage in Nigeria forever depends on our people, not on the government of Nigeria, not on the government of Britain or any other government. The people will always decide, and if they are willing to back up their decision and defend their interest in revolution, if that's necessary, then they will get what they want. But if you back down and say, you know what, we tried this, we've done this for many years now, do you know how many years these coup plotters have succeeded? You know why? You know how many years it's taking them to plan this? It takes time to plan. It takes time to activate. It is a process. Because the Britain has built a system that it's very difficult to break and come out of. Because they do not need to have a direct engagement with you to manipulate you and control you. They do that through your own people. Your politicians, such as Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's why they put criminals. Because they know the criminal will never fight, or the criminal in charge will never will always obey what they ask him to do. Otherwise, they bring everything the public. They make life miserable to him. But taking these people, the Niger government, look at the young leader of Niger problem. How old is he? I'm older than him. It is what Africa needs at this time. They say our leader Mazi is a small boy, but look at the consciousness of our people. For the first time, people can now criticize, look at themselves in the mirror and criticize who they see. They say, this African why should we have everything? This leader of Niger, I can't pronounce his name anymore, it can't come to my mind at the moment. But this guy said something that is quite powerful. He asked a question. How can Africa be the richest, the wealthiest, resource-wise, wealthiest continent and still be the most impoverished, the poorest continent in the world? How can we have all the resources that every other continent want a piece of Africa and they don't want to let go? And yet, we are the poorest. That's a critical question. That's a product of a mind that has decided to subject everything to reason. And once you ask such a critical question, it goes into the right of who you are, right to the core of your being and calls you to stand. Critical questions such as this strikes at the heart of your being and calls you to emerge and act. It calls you to action. And that's what has called these our brothers and sisters in Nigeria, in Cote d'Ivoire, and other places where revolution is currently going on, and will spread widely across Africa eventually, including Nigeria. The IPOB have started it. We started with asking that question. How can Igbo people, Biafran people, how can we be the economic backbone of Nigeria and still be the worst treated, the most marginalized? How can you take the primary revenue of Nigeria come from our backyard, the proceeds of the oil, and yet we are the most rejected and marginalized in Nigeria? How make that make sense? How do you explain that? And that's a critical question. And as I said, once you start asking critical questions, it goes to the right of your being, to the core of who you are, and calls you to emerge. It calls you to come into action. It calls you to agitate. Because what is registered, what is obvious, is injustice. And where there is injustice, where injustice has been identified through critical reasoning, through the questions of the mind, then the mind calls you to put into actions, articulate your anger, your frustration, your injustice, and follow suit, follow up, seeking for redress, seeking for justice. And that justice can come in different ways. For some people, justice could be having a good government. For us, justice is self-rule, self-determination, freedom, true independence of the indigenous people of Biafra. So I would like to encourage you, continue what you're doing because it's bearing a fruit in Nigeria. Ignore the works of enemy, whether they are springing from within or whether they are, because what the Western governments are doing, using Bola Ahmed Tinubu and some politicians whom they put in power to do their biddings, to maintain colonial legacies and colonial ties. What they are trying to do with these people is the same thing Nigerian government is trying to do with our own politicians and some people from within us. The strongest way to fight people is to create enmity from within them, is to make one of them do your own bidding. Then that is when you have chance to destroy a people. In our own case, we've identified this. It's taken us years to analyze and understand what's going on. and we've been fighting, and we must intensify our approach, our method, our fight, united under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, under the leadership of DOS. As a Biafra, you do it collectively. You go ecologically. You go BK. That's how to fight and liberate ourselves. What we do in the indigenous people of Biafra is bearing fruit that extends to the rest, other parts of Africa. And that wave that is going will continue. And we must not back down, because destination is Biafra. While we inspire other Africans and other African nations to stand up and fight for justice, to fight for freedom, we must continue in our own quest for total emancipation of our people, for total self-determination, for authentic freedom, and Biafra liberated and freed as indigenous nation will solidify the freedom of Africa as a continent. And with this, I welcome one of my colleagues to continue. Mazi Uche, if you can take the microphone. No.
Thank you, Mazi. Thank you for your talk tonight, and thank you to all the people that are listening to us tonight, and also to Mazi Peters for bringing us on board tonight. Like we always say, it's a privilege to come around on Radio Biafra and talk to our people and give them insight and a little bit of perspective to the happenings around and how we should see and analyze situations as Biafrans, because what we don't know before, our people never believe that what happens around them really affects who they are, affects everything about them. But the world is a global stage, and everything that happens around people in one way or the other affects every person you are concerned. Don't think you are not concerned. Oh, they're having a fight in Niger Republic, it's not my problem. Oh, I don't have any family members in Niger Republic. Oh, it's not my member. That guy was killed, but he's not related to me. He's not even from my village. Why should I worry about it? But the truth to life is that whatever happens around, as human beings, we are obligated to take charge and control what happens around us. And if we don't, it means we are paving way for such that happen to other people to come and happen to us as well. Today they are trying to restrain and contain the knowledge of Nigerians, the people of Niger Republic. They are trying to curtail the knowledge, and the world is looking around. They are trying to play an undercard and maintain the status quo. This same thing is what has been happening to us for ages. It is called the stifling of initiative, of innovation. You might say, oh, these people, they just have this coup. No, it is control measure. It is control measure. And all the coups and counter coups that happened in Nigeria were teleguided by foreign agencies. Foreign agencies. Most of these people were trained abroad to bring instability to Africa. And they are actually performing tasks that were handed over to them. So what am I trying to say tonight? Do you not feel that I'm not concerned about what's happening? You are. It's going to affect you in one way or the other. It it is going to be your problem. If it's not your problem today, tomorrow is going to be your problem. And this is what we are trying to tell Biafrans. We're trying to make Biafrans to reason from the collective, to know that my brother's problem is my problem. My brother's happiness is my happiness. My brother's win is my win. When we come as one people to understand this, we will not be subjugated anymore. Because while that policeman on the way is stopping the Okada man, is because the guy that is driving a car says to the other one, no, don't talk, is for Okada riders, they're only stopping Okada riders. It is because the guy that is on Okada is saying, no, they are just stopping only Keke people. Oh, it's only for people who drive cars. Oh, it's only for people who are pedestrians. They are the ones they are stopping. But if the guy that is driving in a car comes around and say, oh, what's happening? This is not right. You shouldn't stop that guy. What is this crime? Then we wouldn't have police brutality about our neighborhood. If we could stand up and say, oh, the price of gas is not okay. The price of petrol is not okay. And not say, after all, I no get car, waiting concern me. Or after all, I cannot afford it. It doesn't matter to me. Then we are invalidly perpetuating the crime. We are bringing the crime more to our doorpost. It is great that we understand the human concept here in the Western community. Some people, you ask them, what's your religion? You know what they answer you? They say, I'm a humanist. I'm a humanist. And you don't really understand what they say or what they mean by being humanist. And this has been our religious or our spiritual perspective, the ideology of our elders, to understand the concept of one more emebuna one madu emebuna one more. This is the rule, the golden rule of our tradition. It doesn't matter where that person is coming from. It doesn't matter the cadre of that person. It doesn't matter the status of that person in the community. You cannot have in our society, in our community, let me use the word agrarian community, the community that we had before globalization and the commercialization of our entity. You do not have a stream where the rich go to fetch water and those for the poor. The poor and the wealthy step into the same river. But today, down to water is stratified. You go to the market and you go, oh, pure water corner, pure water. To go now, all bottled water corner, bottled water corner. And this has destroyed the essence of our ideologies. Our ideologies are destroyed. And this is what we are trying to reawaken in Biafra. Because this is what made us think. I tell you today, we have the story of Igbos who were enslaved fighting together and dying together. The Igbo landing is there as a history, a monumental history depicting the character of all of the tribes that were enslaved, that were captives. None of the captors had a message about a particular tribe. They had character depiction of the Igbo race, of the Igbo people or the Igbo slave. They had the monetary depiction of our people. They said, these people work hard. They are hard workers. If you want to get a slave, get an Igbo slave. They also said, these people are hard to control because they have a mind of their own. No other tribe, no other slave group has a story like this. But what I'm telling you, in this generation, because we've lost the essence of our identity. If you have slaves today, you will have one or two people that will go to the slave master and tell them, see, these my people, I understand their language. They are saying this and this. They want to even seize this, whatever. They want to kill you people. Just bring me to the side. I'll be telling you what they are saying. This is exactly what you're going to get in our generation. Because we've lost the essence of life, of our identity. The idea of Unyaga na 1 year is gone. The idea of one more emebuna one mother emebuna one more is gone. And that is why it is hard to deliver the Igbo man, to deliver the Biafrans. Because we've lost so much of our identity. Now we are begging to put on the cloak of another man's identity. And the truth remains that you cannot be better than the Pope. You cannot be holier than the Pope. Because the Pope dictates. This is what happened in the days in the Roman Empire. You cannot win the game because they will keep moving the goalpost to where they want it to be. I remember when we were kids, you play soccer or play football with your elder brother, and he won't allow you to score. Why? Because he has the power to dictate the play. And this is what is happening to our generation as a group today. People are changing the goalpost to where it suits them. Oh, it's the case of an Igbo man. It doesn't matter. Oh, yes. Oh, it's the case of an Igbo man. Oh, living in jail. This group of bunch of idiots, they were not even going to think about him. Oh, it's the case of an Igbo man. Oh, arrest him. Why? Because we've lost our identity. And we think it's an advantage not to know your identity. We think is when we're kids, our teachers will say, and we've lost so much. So tonight, as Biafrans, ask yourself, what are these values? If you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, you ask yourself these questions and get good answers. If you're in your early 30s, you can ask your parents. If you're in your 20s, ask your parents and your elder brothers or sisters. What makes me an Igbo person? What are the values? What makes me an Igbo person? Ask these questions and look out the answers, and you will see that we've lost everything. I was listening to some and someone, God bless her, she was saying, why should we even name our food Oyibo names? It is so annoying. We've changed it to Pando. Gari is now Pando. Cassava flakes. Abacha is cassava flakes, or whatever name. Nkwobi is now pepper soup or whatever. You just try to you recognize the name of our food. But you go to these countries, the name of the food, if you say pizza, it is pizza from the original place. If you say pasta, it is pasta from the original country where that food is coming from. They never for one day changed it to say, if I dekasiki did it. Igbo people, it looks like Idide. Let's call it Idide for them to understand it. No. But for us, we think that we are now people pleasers. People pleasers. And that has been our undoing. Even in the case of Nigeria today. Because we want to please them. Let there not be any quarrel. Let there not be any fight. Let there not be any. And then you are going through a lot as a tribe, as a group. So, my dear brothers and sisters, ask yourself, how can I reawaken the essence of my person? Of my person. We are all human beings, but we are different. Our identity stems from our culture, from our cultural values. And if we don't start appreciating this, then the fight to restore our people will be a fruitless endeavor. Now, it says, Biafra is fighting for self-determination. Self-determination through referendum. That is what IPOB is fighting for. Now, the key question there is, what is self-determination? If you break it down, if you don't know the concept of self, what are you now trying to determine? Self-determination. This is why our people need to be schooled. You are fighting for self-determination, but you are telling me, yes, I'm part of this self-determination. We must restore Biafra. We must restore Biafra. But the next minute, you are living self, and doing alien determination. Alien is anything that is removed from the self, that is foreign. Your people believe a concept of spirituality and identity, a cultural perception and value, and you want to do self-determination. You should be looking to restore the concept of self. You have to define what is self for you as a Biafran. What is self for a Biafran? This is a lecture that must start happening around all of Biafra, because most of us are in this struggle doing self-determination without knowing what the self it is. It's just like most times you'll be looking for something and you get around the room and you're just walking around and someone looks at you, understands you're confused, a bit confused, and then you say, oh, what are you looking for? And the person will say, yeah, I was looking for something. I knew I was looking for something, but I just got into this room. I can't remember anymore. That person is going to walk around for 20 years in that room without finding anything. Why? Because that person has forgotten what he or she was looking for. So the first point of finding that thing is to ask myself, what was I doing? What do I need at this point in time? And if that person can recollect, oh, I was trying to write something for Chukwuemeka and I needed a pen. I came in here to look for a pen. That is the only time the person can find a pen. So our people, we are doing self-determination without most of us that are in this self-determination quest knowing what the self is. What is self? What is Biafra? What is Biafra? And when you understand what is Biafra, you will understand why our leader will say that Biafra is our religion. What is religion? Religion is the practice, any ritual that brings you to the knowledge of yourself as a man and the knowledge of another being as a higher person, is a collective, is a cycle. So knowing what Biafra is will help you in the quest for self-determination, to determine Biafra, to bring about Biafra, because Biafra is spiritual and physical. Biafra comes from the inside, is intrinsic and extrinsic. Biafra is the air that you breathe in and the air that you breathe out, you inhale Biafra and you exhale Biafra. That is why you act some way. Someone would come around and tell you something. Because of the cultural values, you understand that information, you process it differently. Tell the same thing to another person from another tribe. They will understand it or misunderstand what you are talking about. But because it is in you, you take it in, and your reaction to that information is also stemming from the culture, the values that you have. That is why you will, let me cite this example. You come as an elder, you present the information of an elder. What is the first thing the Yoruba man will do because of his culture and his value is to prostrate on the floor. For you, as an Igbo person or a Biafran, you will not prostrate on the floor. You will bend down for the person to touch your back. This is culture. This is self. So understanding the concept of self brings us to the knowledge of what to fight for. And this is why we are here. This is why we are here, to bring this knowledge to our people. I will give the opportunity to my other colleagues to talk at this moment. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mazi, for that wonderful contribution. At this point, I'm going to invite Mazi Gosife to take up the microphone and make his contribution. Mazi, over to you. Mazi Gosife, if you can unmute and speak. And all right, I will call on Mazi Silas, please, to make his contribution.
Thank you, Mazi. I thank all of us for responding to this very important duty that has been left to us by our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I thank all of you for flying our flag very high. I'm so much happy for what our colleagues have been doing. I also thank Mazi Peter for religiously and diligently hosting us every Wednesday. I will extend that thanks and appreciation to our global family, the IPAB worldwide, a family that has always been vindicated at every turn because of our belief, our resolve, our reasoning, and our vision to make sure that we secure Biafra land for our future generations so that we can live and thrive in that space given to us by the Almighty, uninhibited, and reach our potentials. I have, in a way, and almost all the time, reiterated this our vision. IPAB captured the essence of Biafrans so very well. And I will invite all of us, wherever we are, to continue praying for our leaders, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, number one, and the DOS, and the structure below the DS, those who are making sure that IPOB families, wherever they are functioning, are being looked after and kept in line to actualize our vision, which is the eventual and total emancipation of the Biafran state. I will always state it and restate it as we continue. So I encourage all of us, freedom lovers, to continue the struggle in faith and in practice so that we will realize our goal. We, as I said, always vindicate ourselves, and other actions do vindicate us when we look at the Nigerian state as it is. The Nigerian state is in shambles because nothing is working. They have invariably conducted a sham election that ended up producing somebody who is weak. Not only that is weak, somebody who hasn't got the credentials, who doesn't have the experience, I would say, somebody who doesn't know their left from their right, somebody whose identity and everything about is fake, and somebody who doesn't even think before they act. If you are the son of the soil, if you are a product of Nigeria and you are indigenous, you would think for the people. You would aspire for your people. Your conduct, your behavior will be for your people, for the least empowered in your community will be the people you aim for and you will seek to empower by your leadership. I will start by x-raying what the people, the average Nigerian looks like today or is feeling. And whatever calamity that we are facing today is as a result of what the Nigerian state has provided, what policy they have put in place, what actions they have put in practice. That is what has shaped Nigeria the way it is today. And because they have rejected the cornerstone, because they have rejected Biafrans, that is why things are hard today. There was an analysis by Malcolm, this Doe lawyer. I've forgotten his full name, but his first name is Malcolm. He likened what is happening in Niger today, the coup that happened in Niger today, to the 1966 coup. That the 1966 coup was conducted by the Nigerian soldiers in order to redirect the leaders then who were becoming corrupt, who were becoming too cozy with the Westerners, to redirect them to look at the people and design their policy according to the Nigerian people, a policy that will actually get the nation and the people into a path of development, a path of enrichment of the people, an indigenous plan that would work for the people and not for the Westerners, especially Britain in that case. He further said Britain then saw and worked with other ethnic tribes, made a coup, and Igbo turned it by propaganda, made it an Igbo coup, and used that to wage war. The British waged the war against the Pogon War against the Igbos or the Biafrans. And at the end of the day, he instituted governments that did what they want. That is what they're trying to do to Niger. And this opens up lots of areas. If you don't teach history, who will tell this? Only those whose eyes are open will be the ones that will know. And because they don't know, they continue on the same mess. As it is, we are looking at the developments in Nigeria and wondering where the leadership is in terms of state consciousness, patriotism, and wondering what they're going to do. You listen to some commentators from the north, all their comments, all their reasoning is, what about the northern interest? I listened to one professor who was giving the reasons why Tinubu should not be part of ECOWAS to do whatever they have to do at Niger. I agree with that analysis. I agree that we shouldn't, if the coup plotters of Niger are benevolent to the people, if their idea is to liberate the Nigerians, we should support them to liberate themselves from the cold hands or the continuing hands of French. French should not be there. All these military camps that they have there, or military settlements that America has there, and that shouldn't be there. They claim that they are pursuing or fighting terrorism in the Sahel. But the same people they're trying to protect are still dying of or being terrorized by the ISIS. So what is America actually doing there? They are there exploring, mining, looting, and indirectly placating, trying to deceive the Niger government to believe that, we'll give you $2 billion worth of aid. And we know that when they tell you they give you $2 billion worth of aid, they're not giving you money. They give you materials that they have overpriced and tell you, these materials that were given to you, whether they're medication or a few equipment or some military gear, and they will tell you the price is 2 billion. Here is your aid. Meanwhile, they will excavate millions of tons of uranium. They will excavate it, they will weigh it, and they will tell you falsely a lesser value of what they have collected from the land, and tell you because of this you earn maybe 5%, because when we get home we will spend 100% of what we give you to process it. Why wouldn't you agree? Because you don't know. You haven't taken care of it yourself. If you have, then you would not let somebody else harvest your crop, harvest your yield, and then give you whatever they think according to their own estimates that suits you. This is the situation in Niger, and this also is the situation in Nigeria, because in the Nigerian case, the oil that we know that are being drilled are the ones done onshore. The offshore drilling in the Atlantic Ocean, our sea territory or ocean territory, is done by the British and the American. Their companies are there drilling and telling us what they have taken. These dishonest countries will tell you how much that they have taken. They're joking. That is why they are there. And that is why they have supported a confirmed drug baron without any question. That is why they have kept a blind eye on a rigged election, which is a coup in its own version. That is why they have kept quiet on that version of the coup, and they want a civilian coupist to lead a war against a military coup group. So you can see the picture clearly now, and tell me how that is going to work. So let us look at in the face of all these shambles that Nigeria is. What is the state of an average Nigerian? And I will say an average by using government workers or state workers. Say a local government chairperson, a local government worker, or a teacher. A teacher, that both of them, their average salary per person is about $60,000, 60,000 naira a month. If they happen to have a partner that works in a similar place, let's say their take home amount per month would be 120,000 naira. This amount does not cover for their expenses, basic expenses for the month. Their salary from experience and feedback finishes within 2 weeks, and then they can't afford transport. That is why you have high truancy in jobs. They don't go every day, and they can't afford enough food. That is why they have started restricting the number of times they eat. They can't afford lots of things for the family. And this is the situation of somebody who has employment. Mind you, these salaries are not paid regularly. Sometimes they are owed for months and months and months. And the money to go to work whenever they will hitch a hike or have some money coming one way or the other. Then what about those who are unemployed? They don't have a job. They don't have any hope of money coming to them. What are they doing? They are literally dying of hunger. This is the situation in Nigeria. And for those of them that have large families have broken down because of hunger, starvation, and a very hard situation. If then they happen to have any sickness, they can't even afford common medications like Panadol and all that. Go and ask. If anybody is doubting, they should go down to the villages, go down to the poor people that are not connected to the government and find out. So the situation is very hard for an average Nigerian, especially those of us in the southeast of the Biafrans, because we don't have much representation in the government. Our infrastructures, basic infrastructures for trade and industries are absent. The international airport in Enugu is been made moribund, if I may put it that way. Simple floodlights to let planes land in the dark are not there, especially that of Imo State. How much does it cost to put up lights? With some generators, not one, maybe 2 or 3 spare ones. And once there is electricity, the the floodlights or the lights along the tarmac can be lit, and life will be easy for people. Planes can land after 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. like we do in other advanced countries. So whose duty is it to do that? Is it the state? Is that the federal government? The federal government takes control of most of the airports for reasons they know. Why don't we have these facilities around the southeastern region? It is deliberate, and this is why we will continue to fight until we liberate Biafra from Nigeria and do the things properly the way it is done. So without the white collar job, well, how did we survive? Before the Europeans came and brought in their system of government that they say is the best, how did we survive? We used to have a communal interest. Communal interest like my Indian colleagues have put across. We worked together. Any grown adult would have a piece of land assigned to them by their parents, by their community. If you reach an age, your age mates will come together and help you build your house. Even though our houses then were not as advanced as the houses we have now, but they did serve the purpose. We were able to do the things we did. If we maintained our culture to that extent, to some extent it's still been done, we will still have our age mates do the things the way we do. We would have developed a strong iron smelting industries. We started it many years in Leja. We did. And if we have that, we would have materials to build our house probably stronger than what our great-grandfathers did. So these things propel us. These things strengthen us to continue on our vision, because we are in the Nigerian land that is not holding us with care, that is rather forcing us into extinction. And we don't want to go into extinction. Let it be clearly understood. We are fighting to make sure that the Biafrans still retain their God-given land and space in the southeastern Nigeria and beyond, wherever people of Biafran identity have existed before the colonial masters arrived. This is our mission, and we are not going to apologize for wanting to live and wanting our generations to continue to live. And so that takes us to what we are doing, how we are relating to the world, and how we are relating to the rest of the people in Nigeria. And if you look at the way it is now in Nigeria, the current leader is illegitimate. People try to say it in a politically correct way. It is not. We don't gloss over things here. The current leader is illegitimate because, according to the constitution, the worst condition or constitution that they used is illegitimate. They didn't meet the stipulation of the constitution. The INEC was bribed. The results they are claiming to have used cannot be seen. They can't even produce it. Tell us how you got to this answer. If you have given a mathematics to solve, and you all of a suddenly arrived at a figure. The teacher asks you, how did you arrive at this? What process? And you are rather fighting the question rather than answering something that should be very simple. That tells you the mindset of those who woke up or decided to announce a result by 4 a.m. in the morning, just like thieves, you know. And when you compare and put all this together, it proves what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said. How do you want me to pursue this struggle? Nigeria has been gerrymandered in a way that you cannot use a political solution. You cannot go to an election and win because they have created representative positions, electioneering areas or units based on the landmass that has been assigned, wrongly assigned. That's what I mean by gerrymandered, wrongly assigned to the Northerners. The Northerners claim that they control 78% of the landmass of Nigeria. And then they equate that 78% to their obtainable electioneering units. And if they have already claimed that they have 78% power to decide or to vote, how can anyone with reason survive there? But that 78% is false, because go around the world where you have the greatest population density is usually near the coasts where there is water. And if you look on Google Map today, where there is water is where you have green vegetation, and water and green vegetation supports life more than you have in arid desert area. Compare the population of the entire Niger. I'll prove this point now. The Niger that is on the map, on the news today, its population is 20 million. And that 20 million will be inflated figure. Niger landmass is bigger than that of Nigeria. Now, the population of the north, the Nigerian north, if I may put it that way, is over 160 million. Can you see the inflation standing out? Yes, there will be more people there because they are feeding off the south. But they have inflated their population, they claim is even almost 180 million. That is what they claim. So the lies of Nigeria, the corruptness of leaders of Nigeria, their nepotism, their intolerance to the Southeasterners, the Biafrans, their ineptitude, all this add to the reason why we want to stay on our own, so that we can develop according to our God's given strength. We don't hate them. God forbid, we don't hate anyone, but we don't want people that hate us. We don't want to continue fighting or being in a retarded country or fake country forever. As a result, we are humbly agitating and requesting a referendum that will peacefully demarcate Nigeria into the sub-regions so that everybody can develop on their own pace. This is what we are asking, and as events turn out every day, as Nigeria make their decision, they also show their continued hatred for the people cause of Biafra. The only thing they want is the resources that come from our land, just like their masters overseas have trained them to behave. And as such, we will continue until we restore Biafra. All hail Biafra. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mazi. Thank you for that comprehensive presentation. Really touched all aspects of where we're focusing on this tonight broadcast. Thank you for drawing attention to how this whole things are linked together and how self-determination is the key and why we are fighting for self-determination. It's not as a result of not wanting to live with others. It's a result of wanting to live as we should, to respect other people's right to live, to respect their value system, and at the same time advance our own, advance our life, develop our land. So that was comprehensive. I would like to invite Mwada Perpetual to make a quick contribution before we close. Mwada, can you take the microphone and make your contribution? Thank you. Mwada Perpetual, can you make your contribution? Or Mazi Gosifa, if you're ready now. All right, Mwada, over to you.
Okay. Thank you after a long time for inviting me to this occasion. I will rather make it brief, although I have so many things to talk about. So before I start, I have to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, depending on your time zone. May God bless us all and keep us alive and healthy. So I'm gonna talk about Ahambo Wada Perpetua Adachukwu. So I don't even know whether I will talk in English now. I'm all over the place. So I'm going to talk about what is happening briefly, and then talk about our unity and why it's necessary. Because there was a song I wrote some time ago. I say, united we stand, divided we fall. The more we are together, the better for us all. And then the more we will achieve. So if we can come together and they realize the importance. Why are people struggling? Why are people anxious about Biafra? Why are people anxious about Imerun wine? Why are we still in the same Nigeria up till now? Why are we killing each other? Because of money of this world? No. Look, our people are colonized by people who come from thousands of miles away, come to the country. You together. They were not put together like that by nature. But some people came, killed their people, enslaved some people, and put them together. And now, we are talking about that. All of a sudden, our own people, our own black people, want to also colonize us and put us, kill each other just for their greediness and what they can get from each other in order to survive. But the end of it all is the grave. because everybody should go there. No matter how many 100 years you live, maza 120 or 140, the person must go. And when you go there, nobody will put money in your grave. So I'm saying that my point here is that I just want us, what is the problem? I want to know what is the problem with our people. Why can't we think twice, work together, act together, love one another, care for one another? Because the more we care for one another and love one another, dear God will help us to achieve our aim in life. But when we just keep on, I'm just, in short, what I'm pleading again is that I did that before. I say I want to just everyone to work together in peace and unity, as that will do us more good than harm. I understand that uneasiness lies the head that wears the crown. So we also pray for the head that wears the crown. Every person in the head is not easy. To head a family, to head what more of community. There are so many kick everywhere for people. So I'm saying hopelessness is the enemy of justice, because some people in the leadership don't really, I can't say don't really know, everybody has their style of leadership. There are leadership, because I see that young man, Nnamdi Kanu, has got qualities of leadership. He's got mercy, he's got peace, he listens, and then he considers everyone. And he said that our people will disappoint him. He will never disappoint anybody. But it's going on. So the three key to success in doing something, in leadership, and in working together is wisdom. If you have the wisdom, you have the understanding and knowledge, then you will be able to achieve your aim in life. You know, if we continue living in gossip, attaching each other, it is rather a big distraction. And the enemy is using it against us. So that is why it's a good opportunity for them to come into us, and they corrode us. So what are we doing? I suggest you people should do, everybody should focus on what we are after. One, the release of Mazi and Kanu and the actualization of Biafra. What is the use of knowledge if you are ignorant? The greatest evil on earth is ignorant. We try to be ignorant, and we always, if you always speak with one voice, listen to good advice and talk less, but more action. We can talk less, but take more action. Then we want confederation, where truth is deadlier weapon than gun, you know? So Nnamdi Kanu doesn't want gun. He wanted to actualize Biafra with peacefulness. So already Nigeria is a failed state. Everybody knows that. So because they have wasted many souls, criminals are in power. Every power, like the last regime, they are criminals. All criminals in power. Now they bring a better criminal again in power. They will keep on doing like that, wasting life. All the seaports in Nigeria are closed. Why is it? It has to be only Lagos that is open. So we have to ask God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And that is the three key things in life. Okay? We should not fold our arms and let God come and protect us. So we have to have that understanding. The Bible even said that without work, the Bible said that faith without work is dead, and heaven helps those who help themselves. We have to call God, but we have to fight for our rights as much as we can. So I am appealing to everyone to remove pride, greed. So you remove pride and greed and all those unjustness, so that we can fight together for a just cause. So the people from all over the world, America, Britain, this and that, are pursuing us. And our people are also pursuing us. What are we going to do? Even the people who are running Nigeria are from other Arab countries, like nomads from Sahel, the Fulanis from Sahel, Senegal, Mali, Egypt, Chad, Algeria, and other Arab countries, which I don't even know. And they come there because of what they are gaining there. The people at the Hague, the so-called Nigerian leadership, they have failed woefully. They are all criminals. And they can't put good people there. They want to get rid of good people so that all the criminals will continue ruling the people. And it is getting to anarchy. So, like as you can see now, the people terrorizing even from the north, from the south, from the east, everywhere, are some people that came there just to kill the indigenous, take over what resources they can take. The worst of it all is some of these people are now Africans, are colonizing Africans. That's the worst. Goodness me. In fact, I don't know. So people are not supposed to come to the country that doesn't belong to them, and they want to kill the indigenous, rape, steal their resources and kidnap them, cause all sorts of mayhem in the name of, they are all scrambling for Africa. Now you will see all the white people, friends, all of them, they are getting something from Africa. That's why they are not leaving Africa alone. And Africa don't want to unite to fight for their own right. So that is so disheartening, how people are trying to kill you, exterminate you from the surface of this land. And you are there kicking your brothers, fighting your brothers against fighting. I don't know what they're fighting for. I don't know why you want to exterminate your own brother, your own blood, for just what you can get for your stomach. Heaven help those who help themselves. Nobody can help you except you. You help yourself. So the thing we are talking about is that whatever is happening in Nigeria is a state-sponsored terrorist. Their aim is to exterminate the indigenes of the land, especially the Igbos, and take over their land and resources, because God bless them with different types of mineral resources. It's not only those Fulanis that will kill you and get your resources. Other people are even after, even the Chinese, even every other person will come to take all that. Why are you fighting yourself? So they think that you are conquered slave. And now, most of our leaders are criminal leaders, which are getting something for their own pocket, for their own family. They don't care about the poor masses. They don't care even they all die. And I was wondering, if every person in that country die, who are they going to rule? That we bring the people from outside to come and conquer and take over whatever God has blessed us with. So the sooner we realize that, the better. It's so inhuman, all the atrocities they are committing there. We have to be prepared to take our destiny into our hands. It is the type of thing that destroys community cohesion, like if we ourselves don't love ourselves, we are kicking against our brothers and trying to steal from our brothers. Even some people are killing people, harvesting their organs to make money. So atrocious. So disheartening. It's so disheartening. I don't know. I don't even know how to express my feelings over what is happening in our land. Our people need to wake up and take action immediately. I say, you know? So it's getting too late. Many people are sleeping. Time to wake up. You know? Waking up is not attacking your brother and taking what belongs to them to show you are powerful. No, ekena ulo. So time does not wait for anybody. We have little time to put our house in order. So and irrespective of that, a lot of people onye gini kedota hanesha tululu. I see we don't have to stop. We have to stop chasing shadow instead of rat. You know, you can't continue. What is the most important is unity. The spirit of unity is the only thing that will bring the success in all we are doing, really. It will be impossible for them to defeat us when we are united. Please, I am appealing to everyone. If you people can stop lamenting, stop enviousness, stop greediness, and face your fears, and get your nations, you are not the only people all these things are facing. The Japanese are free today because they fought together. The Chinese that is now going ahead and ruling the world, they fought together to get their own independence. It's not impossible to get. So I'm just the one, despite that one, there are some other thing I wanted to pinpoint. That is about our history. About our history, that brings me to the knowledge like say, our own language is even being lost. Our own traditions are being lost. Our children are running away from the countries because it's so hard. To get work is so hard. They're making life unbearable for everyone. So I'm saying every person should team up and cooperate. Encourage the people at home. They are confused. They are confused because a lot of things are happening to them. They are afraid of their life, afraid of so many things. So our language is dying. And I want to be part of that, reviving it. So I'm gonna tell you, language is very important part of a people's origin. For instance, our Igbo language is getting to extinct. Even the people at home don't encourage their children to speak it. We have so many importance in language, in our indigenous language. So, like the Igbo language is from the eastern part of Nigeria, regarded as the indigenous people of Biafra. Most Biafrans speak Igbo, not all of them. So Biafra means the original people of that land. Language is the vehicle that transports culture into the world. Our language and culture is the window through which we see the world. Our language and culture is the window through which we see the world. It connects us. It connects families and communities. And my ancestors, and let my past origin to future generation. It will allow me to teach them to the history of the ancestors as well. Understanding your native language and culture creates a grounding foundation that builds a positive identity, which values that will help you become the best you can be and keep you in touch with your roots. The best way to know, preserve, share Igbo language is to read, write, and speak the language. Igbo language is good language, although it has got a lot of variation, and it's a tonal language. So language is a useful means of communication, and if a language is spoken by only few, it is not performing its function. Unless some languages are protected and respected, like the Igbo language, some languages will die out. It's really dying out. The culture of civilization is gradually helping the extinction of indigenous language. Everybody now is talking about English. You are forgetting that Chinese, all those people, they learn their language from at least from home. Each child knows the language. Some people feel